All right, everybody, what is going on? Good morning. We're coming at you guys a few hours early because we'll be streaming in a few hours, so keep an eye out for that. But I wanted to go ahead and make a quick little video here talking about a few things before we get to that stream, because obviously, when that stream starts, we're going to be pretty locked in on whatever happens throughout the day. But I want to go over a couple things. So first, I'll knock this out. This is not particularly notable, except in the sense that I guess you could say the team saved a little bit of money compared to where I thought they would be. The Chris Stoll, the long snapper, his contract details are out. It's 2 years, 2.9 million, and that is actually less than I thought it was going to be. I kind of thought, and obviously this is kind of a weird way to look at things, but I kind of felt like since we won the Super Bowl, our long snapper would have the Super Bowl tax applied to him, and he would probably set the market and get like maybe 1.75 million per year, which would be the new highest paid long snapper. This is not the highest paid long snapper. It's 2 years, 2.905 million. That's about 15th highest among long snappers. That's actually really good. I think that that is actually pretty surprising to me too, because to my knowledge, he is as good as any other long snapper. Maybe there were one or two snaps in the Super Bowl that hurt him because there were a couple of shaky ones. I don't know. But 2 years, 2.905 million for Stoll, no problem. Again, it doesn't really matter that much because the difference in money is not even $1 million over the lifetime of this 2-year deal. So it doesn't really affect the cap. So, yeah, I just wanted to go ahead and go over that. Now, I know you guys aren't here to talk about Chris Stoll's contract. You're here to talk about something that happened over the last couple of days that was really earth-shattering, the Maxx Crosby stuff. And I've gotten some requests from Seahawks fans to make an additional video about the Maxx Crosby stuff, which I wasn't sure if I was going to do initially because I wasn't sure if it had anything to do with the Seahawks yet. It wasn't clear. And the reason why I say that is because, yes, the Maxx Crosby trade was rescinded, and yes, Maxx Crosby is now a Raider again, but we didn't have anything real that could make us believe that meant the Seahawks were back in business here. And that had been the case late 2 days ago, yesterday, and then late in the day yesterday, we got this, which on the surface might kind of resolve the situation, but I'm not so sure. So if you haven't been paying attention over the last couple days, it's been crazy. I think it was Tuesday late. It was announced the Maxx Crosby trade had been rescinded. The Ravens had backed out, and they got their picks back. They got their money back. They flipped and signed Trey Hendrickson to a deal of similar average annual value to what Crosby has. And basically, the Raiders got Crosby back. And there was also potential for a big domino effect because the Crosby trade had impacted a lot of moves that other teams had made. And maybe those teams would back out of those deals, but we didn't really see that at least. So that would have been a mess. That would have been a complete mess. But the Maxx Crosby trade getting rescinded was obviously one of the most shocking things that you could have imagined happening. And over the last couple of days, people have wondered, okay, what happens now? Um, if you're a Seahawks fan, the thought, of course, occurred to you. Does that mean the Seahawks are going to get back involved here and try to trade for Maxx Crosby? And look, it made sense, right? The Seahawks did not do anything to take themselves out of the Crosby running. There were teams that seemingly had. A team like the Commanders signed a couple of edge rushers in free agency, so they were probably out. The Rams traded for Trent McDuffie and signed Jalen Watson, so their ability to trade for Maxx Crosby had been kind of stymied a little bit. And maybe they wouldn't have done that if they thought Crosby was still available. Who knows? But the Rams seemed kind of out of it. The Cowboys supposedly, and I don't know if this is true or not, the Cowboys supposedly were not interested in trading for him yesterday. And it seemed like it was the Seahawks the Bears, and maybe a team like the Patriots, maybe a team like the Niners, I guess, and not really too much else. So it was interesting, but here's the thing: why was the Maxx Crosby trade voided? Some people were trying to say it was, oh, his medicals came back really bad. Other people trying to say, no, the Ravens just decided they didn't want to do it after thinking about it, which is not cool, but it's legal. So it wasn't clear. If Crosby is way more injured than people thought, then that changes your perception of whether or not he's somebody you want to trade for. And if it's just because the Ravens decided they can't part with those picks, then it's very different. So it wasn't entirely clear why. Everybody's got their own theory as to why the Crosby trade got nixed. But for me personally, I do feel like it was just mostly cold feet. Crosby just had surgery. It should not be a surprise that he's not able to fully pass a physical right now. It should not be a surprise that Crosby isn't ready to do football stuff yet, but there is every reason to believe that he will be able to by the time the season starts, well before the season starts, in fact. So I don't buy that the Ravens got in there, realized, oh, he's still injured, he's still recovering, and killed the trade because of that. So I personally think he's probably fine. Now, this whole thing did probably reduce his trade value. Like, I don't think you're going to get 2 first-round picks for Crosby now. And I don't know how far down it goes. It depends. Like if for no other reason than that there are fewer bidders. Like, the Bills are another team that took themselves out of the running because they signed Bradley Chubb. So if less bidders means probably less compensation. So what if you could get Crosby for your first round pick and a second round pick, and maybe you throw in somebody like a Nwosu or somebody like I'll even throw a curveball in there, Jalen Milroe. If you could do something like that with a Crosby trade, then I feel very differently. Because remember, after the Crosby trade was initially submitted, one thing I said was the only way the Seahawks could match the Ravens' offer, because their picks are better than ours, is by throwing in basically an extra first round pick. It would have been 3 first round picks. But what if you could get it done for a first, a third, and then a sweetener? Or even a first, a second, and a sweetener. That's very different. I would do that all day. But would the team not be interested anymore because they're concerned about Crosby now? I wasn't sure about that. Well, I don't know if they were. It's going to be hard for us to find out. Everybody's going to have their own theory. But as of yesterday, late in the day, Maxx Crosby said, as far as I'm concerned, I'm a Raider now. I'm back. And I'm committed to this team. Now, does that mean he's not going to get traded? No. And I got to believe the Raiders would probably like to trade him. There's a reason why they traded him in the first place. And as much as they have signed a bunch of guys this offseason and their team is better, I still don't think that team is poised to be a playoff team in 2026. So, better to get your assets. So they may decide, well, you're a Raider for now, but that's not our plan. Going to be interesting to see what happens here. I guess the compelling part of this is Crosby's not going to throw a fit. Crosby's not going to stand up and go, get me out of here. I hate this place, blah, 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 blah. That would be interesting. Crosby's going to be a good sport. So that's how I see it. I'm intrigued more so. I do believe that John Schneider, just like pretty much every other GM in the NFL, should do their due diligence in trying to see what a Crosby trade would take. See if maybe they can get a reduced cost. Maybe they can get something that doesn't involve giving up picks in 2027. But at the same time, if the Crosby trade compensation needed hasn't changed and you are looking at like 3 firsts or an equivalent, I still kind of feel like this team is probably not going to do that. And I can't blame them for not doing it, even if I could argue that Crosby would be worth it. And I want to stress that I want this team to make sure they're making the right decisions here. I don't want them to do stuff just to do stuff. I make an exception for Crosby because I think he's that good. Unlike somebody like a Joey Bosa or even a Trey Hendrickson, who I'm a little bit wary of. I think Crosby is that good. And it is kind of cool how this has worked out because we kept our powder dry. In theory, we could make the Crosby trade, whereas a team like the Buffalo Bills would be hard pressed because of the commitments they've made. A team like the Rams would be hard pressed because of the commitments they've made. So, yeah, that's what I got. All right. See you guys later. Go Hawks. Let me know what you guys think. I hope John Schneider picked up the phone and inquired about this, but for the moment, things are probably going to be chill. So, Crosby might not get traded for months. He might not get traded ever, for all we know. All right. Everybody have a good rest of your day. Go Hawks. I'll see you guys in a couple of hours, actually. So, I'll be on stream soon, but everyone have a good day.